You're listening to the Naptime Empires podcast with my mom, Nikki Elledge Brown. Mom, your show's on.
Thanks, bud. I got it from here. Welcome to the Naptime Empires podcast, refreshingly honest conversations on the realities of parenthood and entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Nikki Elledge Brown. Let's get started. Here's the truth. Our minds are infinitely more powerful than we realize. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing totally depends on our thoughts and whatever's running through them. So the next time you find yourself in a funk, a rut, just a blah zone, I want you to try this simple mindset trick that I want to share with you. It's simple, it's free, it's mobile. It can shift your energy in almost literally no time. Quick disclaimer. This is when all other things are going well. If you need professional help, I want to honor that. So I'm not saying that like any kind of mental issue or emotional issue, you can just think your way out of it. But I do want to offer, for the most part, when all other conditions are okay, this simple mindset shift when it's just like regular feeling the blahs, the normal case of feeling the blahs. So I was on a call with Michelle Simmons last week and I had this aha, and it was so powerful that I was like, I've got to record this episode to share it because it's an easy trick. Like you might actually be tempted to roll your eyes and be like, well, duh, of course. But it's like, yeah, but are you actually doing it? Are you actually putting this into practice? So here's the deal. If you find yourself saying stories in your mind and having thoughts that are disempowering, like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know what the next step is. I'm not even sure I'm going to make it. Am I even an entrepreneur anymore? I'm not clear. I'm so confused. I'm so frustrated, blah, 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 blah. You know the drill, right? When you're stuck in that zone, it's like a cul-de-sac and it just is like, okay, of course, it's a perpetuating cycle where you're just going to keep having these negative thoughts and then you're going to keep proving yourself right. And so it goes. So whatever the saying is, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. We have to change something when we're in that space, right? Because truly, like I said, our minds are more powerful than we realize. And whether you believe in the law of attraction or not, you can take this from like a super nerdy scientific standpoint in terms of human information processing theory, which is that whenever we have a theory, we will process information so as to confirm our theory. It's the goggles. It's like the halo effect. If you believe that you have a child who can do no wrong, then even if something totally sketchy and crazy happens, you'll be like, no, not my baby. And it also works in the opposite direction. You know what I mean? So we're always looking to prove ourselves and to prove our beliefs right. And beliefs are just thoughts that you think over and over. So when you're telling yourself that you're stuck, that you don't know what the next step is, that you're confused, that you're not good at this or whatever it is, then you're going to behave in a way. You're going to believe it because you've said it so many times. You're going to believe it. And then your actions are actually, let me doodle and remember to send you this or put a link to send you this. See, it's literally like I'm talking to you on a box right now. That's how I feel when I'm recording my podcast. I want to link to an episode, Brooke Castillo's Self-Coaching School. I'll find it and stick it in the show notes, or I think Self-Coaching School or Life Coaching School. I don't remember the name of her podcast, but she has a really cool way of breaking this down. So I'm going to link to that so that you can get her version of it. But in the meantime, I just want to tell you this one trick, super simple, that you can apply today. And so here's what we're going to do. If Bryson has a bad dream, for example, I'm like, all right, buddy. So we're going to press delete and let that thought flush it on out, like through your ear, like we're deleting, we're ejecting, pressing eject on that thought. And we're going to put like a cassette tape, not like he even knows what a cassette tape is because he was born in 2011, but put a different thought into your brain, right? So we're going to change the thought because we have the power to change our thoughts. If we can just zoom out for a second and recognize, ooh, I actually don't like how that thought makes me feel, then we're going to change the thought. So if you're having a bad dream or something, then you press eject, take that one out and put another one in there of whatever it is that you want to think about. I was actually just talking about this in a mom's group with another mom whose little one was having nightmares and such. So we talked about that. And it's so funny that then this manifested for myself the other day, because basically instead of saying, I don't know, I don't even know, can I do this anymore? Am I even clear? Instead, here's the trick. Start with I know, an empowering sentence of something that you know to be true, something that's actually helpful. It's a thought that's going to lead to a belief that actually serves you. And it's that simple. So these are your two things that I want you to do. And I'll give you some examples, don't worry, but this is going to be your homework, where I want you to like set a timer for maybe 5 minutes. And if you're like, no, I'm not even going to do that. Okay, then give me a minute. Just set a timer on your phone and just think for a minute. Don't even have to set the timer, but I really would like you to set a timer for 5 minutes, pen and paper or an empty Google Doc or whatever, and just use I know as your prompt. And if you're having a hard time with I know, then just think I love. I love this beautiful home that we live in. I love how my boys play together and laugh together. I love recording podcasts. I love being able to create my own work schedule and being able to be there for my family or when emergencies come up and to be able to be there. I love hearing back from my community. I love reading emails and responses when people are like, I never respond, but I feel like you actually care. I love the feeling I get knowing that I'm connecting with people all over the world. See how it just feels good. And so then when you do I know statements, some examples of I know statements, I know that I feel amazing after I work out. Again, you can think about whatever it is around the disempowering story that you've been telling yourself. We're flipping into something that you do know to be true. So even if you're having a hard time specifically, it's like, I know that I love to go running. No, I don't. But I do love how I feel. And I know that I feel great after I go for a walk or whatever. You know, you can just kind of make it a little more general than specific, Abraham Hicks style. Okay, so I know that I love showing up for my community. I know I have a ton of value to offer. I know that I can take consistent action. I know that I can show up in a way that feels true to who I am. I know that I have all the resources that I need. I know that I have an amazing support network. I know that I have friends who are super smart and happy to help. See how these thoughts can serve you? And then your emotions will just show up. When you change your thoughts, the emotions are going to join the party and be like, finally, you've been keeping us in the closet or like in the attic in a plastic bin completely out of the way. You've only been giving the attention to the negative thoughts, and the negative emotions have been running the show as a result. So what we want to do is be like, okay, cool. Thanks, negative emotions. Again, there's a time and place for them, and we're humans, and I'm not suggesting that you bypass and pretend and don't deal with your stuff. But at the same time, sometimes all you simply need to do is change your thought into something that actually serves you. There are much bigger issues that are not just going to be solved or disappear just by flipping the script. But for today, what I'm talking about specifically is around your work, around your mission, your creativity, the way that you're showing up in the world. If you're telling yourself a story that is not serving you, I just want to challenge you to know that if you can just pause long enough and recognize that that script isn't working for you, it's like a little creative nightmare that you're playing over and over and over again. I want you to just press that imaginary eject button right there by your eyeball, on your temples, on your forehead, on the side of your head, and just choose a different thought that actually is true and feels empowering, that does serve you and thus enables you and empowers you to show up and serve your community in the way that only you can. So another example, Deaky loves playing with magnets, not like choking hazard magnets, that's not safe, but like you can buy a set of them at Target. They're squares and triangles, and you can build houses and castles and cars and whatever. And he loves playing with them, but they're, pretty tricky. Like if you're trying to pick one up and move it somewhere, then they can all just easily crumble. And he'll be like, oh no. And I'm like, oh man, well, you can rebuild it. You can fix it. You've done it once, you can do it again. And so I'm also telling that to myself and to you, that even if something doesn't work out, like it's okay to acknowledge, oh, that sucks. But then you can also be like, well, I've done it once, I can do it again. And so it was so sweet to me the other day because, one of his houses and his creations kind of crumbled, and he was like, I'll fix it. And he said it all on his own because we're just programming it to be like, okay, right. We can be down for however long for a second, whatever we need. And then we can switch back into the empowering story, which is right. I've done it once. I can do it again. Same thing with Bryson. I think it's Glennon Doyle. And one of her probably often quoted phrases is, we can do hard things. I can do hard things. We can do hard things. So if he says something's too hard, I'm like, you can do hard things. And so the other day he was trying to put a sweatshirt on or whatever it is. And while he still had his seatbelt on, and anyway, he managed to do it. And then he just goes, I can do hard things. And I was like, oh, yes, thank you, right? This is how our kiddos are our teachers and how we teach what we most need to learn. Because in both of those instances, I'm like, okay, thinking about how it applies to me and to my business and whatever it is that I'm creating. Okay, I can do hard things. I've done hard things before. I can do that. I've built a business before. In some ways, I feel like I'm starting over. I can fix it. I can redo that. If I put something out and then I get feedback, or you build the website and it breaks, or you put an offer out and it doesn't go as you planned, it's like, okay, cool, feedback, done. Take it back to my tinkering shop and I can fix it. And I can keep going. And so that's the story I want. I mean, obviously, again, you can say it to your kids so they can repeat it back to you and help you and be your accountability buddies. But I just want you to start looking for those opportunities where simple reframes can literally be the solution. Because whenever we change the story we're telling ourselves, like I said, the emotions are going to follow. So again, thank you, Michelle, for pointing that out to me and holding the mirror up. I hope that this serves you. Like I said, for your homework, just get a sheet of paper or even a note in your iPhone and just write, I know at the top of it. Or you can start with, I love. Just either one. If you find yourself in a negative thought pattern, circling the cul-de-sac of doom where you're just like, wah, 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 and you feel like Eeyore, and there's a cloud over your head. Again, I'm not talking about depression. I know that this is, that's a real thing and this is a bigger issue. I'm just saying for now, the one thing that you can do right now is to think, okay, this isn't serving me. It doesn't feel good. What's a better feeling thought that I can think of? And it can start with I know or I love. And just see what comes up. I would love to hear from you. So tag me on Instagram at Nikki Elledge Brown. And I would love to see what you know. What do you know? What do you love? I would love to be able just to see that transition because, again, we will process information to prove our own theories right. And ultimately, our beliefs are just thoughts that we repeat over and over. So if we can get in there and kind of like grab control back in that, I don't know if you ever went to Disney World when they had Cranium Command, where it's kind of like the beginning, Inside Out, how they have all the different emotions and everything in there. And it's like, who's driving? Who's got the master button at the moment? And if it's the team negative thought, then we just want to like elbow them out of the way and be like, okay, cool, thanks. We're not getting the results we want when you're steering the ship. So now we're going to take over and think about the things that are going to empower us. All right, I've made my point. You've got your homework. Just know that I'm cheering you on. You can do hard things. Again, thanks for that, Glennon Doyle. And I can't wait to hear what comes up for you. Hope this was helpful. I'll meet you back here next week with a really fabulous conversation. I'm getting it ready for you today, actually. So stay tuned. Have a great week. Talk soon. This show may be over, but the conversation is just beginning. Head on over to naptimeempires.com/Facebook so you can join my free... Wait, did I say free? I mean priceless, rapidly growing community of Naptime Empire builders for deeper discussions, behind-the-scenes scoop, and of course, updates whenever I've got new stuff coming up for you. naptimeempires.com/Facebook. See you there.
See you next time. Thanks for listening.